He goes, that's what I want to talk to you about. He goes, the money you gave me, I worked really hard and I got a scholarship. I don't need your money anymore.
He says, that's what I want to talk to you about. She replies, the money he gave me. I worked really hard and got a scholarship. I don't need your money anymore. Portadis are piled up and steaming. People in America have loved a man they never really knew for 30 years. Leno was a famous TV host who lived two lives at the same time and no one noticed. He hit another world under the bright lights, where gasoline, steel, and fire became his friends. Yes, of course, no one thought anything until all the pieces came together. This video will show you the whole truth about Jay Leno's two lives. Jay Leno was born in New Rochelle, New York, in 1950. Angelo Leno was his father, and he was an Italian-American insurance salesman. Catherine Muir was his mother. She was kind and sensible, and she was from Scotland. Patrick, his brother, served in Vietnam and then became a lawyer. The family had a simple life, putting a high value on hard work. When Jay was young, he had ties to the Massachusetts town of Andover. His patience grew as he lived in a small house, worked on cars in an old shed, and spent long afternoons doing so. Jay often took things apart to figure out how they worked. As he got older, he understood that making people laugh gave him the same kind of happiness. Jay went to Emerson College in Boston after high school. He decided to major in speech therapy and did so until 1970-73. He started the school's first comedy club in his room. During the day, he worked at a shop near school. He played in bars at night. That's where the two-shift beat started. In the 1970s, Boston's small comedy clubs did very well. Jay was a plumber by day and ran comedy shows at night. He once said, "During the day, I was covered in grease, and at night I was with laughter. These two worlds were connected. They made him disciplined and strong." On March 23, 1973, Jay went to Los Angeles in search of better fortune. A lot of young actors and actresses were drawn to the city of movies and TV. He worked in a Burbank garage and did shows at the comedy shop at night. He worked hard and saved money even though his income barely covered his rent. Jay was asked to be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson after 4 years of playing in clubs. That March 2, 1977, was his first time on the national stage. Carson was laughing hard during his short, steady set, which caught her attention. Jay came back every week after that. By the late 1970s, Jay had been on a few smaller TV shows. He was in Homes, Yo-Yo Fun with Dick and Jane, One Day at a Time, and wrote for Good Times. He and Alice. He was in 2 movies in 1978, American Hot Wax and Silver Bears. Jay kept adding to his comedy stage. He started appearing on Late Night with David Letterman and other major TV shows a lot. His sense of humor was short, rhythmic, and based on real life. People knew him as a regular guy telling stories, not as a famous person. In the 1980s, Jay started taking over for Johnny Carson during short breaks. NBC was interested in him because he seemed calm and had no problems in the past. Producers liked how consistent he was never late, he never canceled shows, and he was always professional. After shows, Jay still spent a lot of time in his small Burbank garage. He bought old cars that were rusty, fixed them up by hand, and then sold them. It wasn't a hobby. It was a way to be patient and work hard. He said, "Getting a car fixed is like writing a joke." From 1985 to 1988, Jay was a regular on weekend comedy shows. People knew his face because he was always there. By 1986, he had been named Carson's official replacement show. After that, NBC started to see how the viewers would react. Jay Leno moved on from small stages and nights that smelled like motor oil. He entered a time when he would no longer be a supporting body. He was about to be called by the lights of TV. But that chance was followed by a tough race where only focus and persistence could help him stay in the game. Seeing the golden nights on TV, Jay Leno took over as host of The Tonight Show from Johnny Carson on May 25, 1992. He took the stage when NBC was changing from one group to the next. Every night at 11:35 p.m., the show played live, becoming the most important place for American conversational humor for the next 20 years. Jay was under a lot of stress for the first 3 months. Carson's loyal fans didn't trust his replacement. An awful lot of newspapers at the time called it NBC's dangerous test. Jay didn't answer. Instead, he focused on steady tapings and slowly won over viewers with his friendly tone, steady pace, and humor that came from real life. He worked about 18 hours every day. The mornings were for meetings about the show. The afternoons were for reading the script. The evenings were for taping. And the nights were for performing at clubs in Los Angeles. At the funeral for his father in 1994, Jay said, "You know, it really is lonely at the top. You have no idea, but we'll fight the good fight, Pop." These words showed how lonely it is to be successful. By 1995, the show had gotten the most viewers it ever had. Every night, more than 5 million people watched The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, which was more than David Letterman's Late Show. NBC said that advertising income was more than 30% higher than in previous years, which made Jay the network's most important person. Jay had a busy touring routine outside of TV. He did about 150 shows a year all over the United States, from small stages in Las Vegas to large university auditoriums. Someone once told him, "If I'm off stage for a few days, I start to miss the smell of the audience." His trips were always very planned out, with no time to relax. The Tonight Show was at its best in the late 1990s. Over 22 million people watched the special episode of Cheers' last season in 1993. Nearly 12 million people watched the show's 10th anniversary in 2002. NBC thought that the weekly gains were more than $30 million. On the job inside the studio, Jay kept working like a master. After the funeral for his mother in 1993, he only took 2 days off. Jay said, "I work, I sleep, and then I work again. That's it." His coworkers said he had no weaknesses. NBC started talking about long-term plans for who would take over in 2000. He will be replaced by Conan O'Brien, who was chosen and will take over after 2009. The news came out 8 years early to avoid trouble within the country. Jay agreed with the decision and said briefly at the press conference, "Every show needs a next chapter." After 17 years, Jay presented his last episode on May 29, 2009. "It was always with me when I came." The Burbank studio is full of coworkers and fans who have been there for a long time. He ended the show with a short line, "It's been a great job." After a few months, NBC said that Jay would be moving to a new show in prime time called The Jay Leno Show. The choice caused a fight with Conan O'Brien. Before that fight, though, Jay had built a strong reputation and been seen as a hard worker during his first 20 years in television. After almost 20 years as host, Jay Leno is leaving the show. Stepped down from what many people called the throne of American television, Jay started a new journey when everyone else thought he would stop. This time, it wasn't on stage. It was under the garage roof, where engines were roaring. Change outside of the press. When NBC and Conan O'Brien had a fight for more than 6 months, Jay Leno came back to host The Tonight Show on March 1, 2010. The move put an end to a rough time for the network and brought back its ratings. Jay did more work until February 6, 2014, when he finally turned over the show to Jimmy Fallon. After his last show in 2014, Jay quit his job at NBC. After a few months, he started making Jay Leno's Garage, an hour-long documentary show about cars. A lot of people liked the special, so NBC signed a deal for a full series in 2015. Jay Leno's Garage had 7 seasons, running nonstop from 2010 to 2022. Jay's private garage in Burbank was used to film episodes, which included talks and car tests with famous people like Jerry Seinfeld, Elon Musk, and Vice President Joe Biden. It was common for Jay to say on the show, "Cars are the only thing that make me quiet. Everything stops when the engine starts." He took that idea as his personal faith. It showed not only how passionate he was, but also how he liked to get away from the noise of show business. The cars that Jay has are a rare mechanical gem. He has more than 180 cars and 160 motorbikes worth more than $50 million at Big Dog Garage. One is a 1994 McLaren F1 that is worth more than $20 million, two are Doble steam cars that Howard Hughes used to own, and one is a 1909 Baker Electric that Jay gave to his wife. Besides that, he is the only person who owns three 1963 Chrysler turbine cars that still work. Every car in the collection is restored by hand, has scientific records kept on it, and Jay personally test drives each one. A lot of newspapers have called his garage a private museum where memories and technology live together. Jay writes the motor myth in addition to working in TV. Column for well-known workers. His articles are mostly about mechanics who fix up steam engines, try hybrid cars, and build jet-powered cars. His writing style is simple and straightforward, based on knowledge and technical accuracy. Jay still plays about 150 stand-up comedy shows a year, all over the United States. He does shows every week. Many people are surprised by his busy schedule, but it's nothing new for him. I still do it. Day, fix cars, night, do other things. That's what makes me smart. For their private lives, Jay and his wife Mavis Leno are known to be very private. They've been married since 1980 but have never had kids. Mavis is involved with women's rights and human rights groups, and she is on the board of the Feminist Majority Foundation. Jay only says, "She taught me how to be quiet." In 1998, they gave $100,000 to help women in Afghanistan, which was an act of kindness. Written down in the past of the foundation. The couple doesn't talk much about charity, but they still give money to education funds and car museums every year. Jay still works 16 hours a day and sleeps for hours a night, even though he is in his 70s. Someone asked Jay if he ever got tired, and he just said, "No, I'm still doing what I love. If I stop, I'll rust like an engine that never runs." The hardest parts of his job came when he was famous and his workload was at its highest. Many accidents and emotional problems took Jay Leno off the path he was used to. He did not take a step back. Instead, he decided to come back with the same determination that had helped him get through the hard years of the past 50 years. As he worked in his shop in November 2022 to fix a 1907 white steam car, a small spark lit in the fuel chamber. On his face, hands, and chest, Jay Leno got second and third-degree burns that were very bad. Intensive care was given to him for 10 days at the Grossman Burn Center in West Hills after he was taken there. Method that includes many skin grafts. Pictures of his bound face were shown all over the news. Jay didn't say anything as his health got better. In a short interview, he said, "My face was on fire." That one line said it all about how bad the accident was. Doctors stated that his quick recovery was due to his strong health and unwavering determination. In January 2023, just 2 months later, Jay was in another crash while riding an old motorcycle. He lost his balance because of a wire that was stretched across the road and broke his shoulder and 2 ribs. He wouldn't cancel his shows while he was still at the same hospital, telling reporters, "I cracked a few parts, but the laughter's still intact." By mid-2022, when asked about the string of accidents, Jay simply said, "I grew up in a garage. Accidents are normal." He returned to the stage within 3 weeks, performing in Las Vegas before more than 2,000 people watching. No one could tell that he had cosmetic surgery on his face. Early in 2024, Jay was in another accident in Pennsylvania while making a movie about a car test. He hurt his face and broke his wrist when he slipped down an 18-meter hill. Later, he said, "Feeling good. As long as I can work, I'm alive." This was a very dry response that fit his personality. Fans were scared, but Jay never stopped working. A week later, he went to a California show of old cars with his arms still wrapped. A close friend remembered that Jay's first words after the fall were, "Is the car okay?" And then he called for help. Along with these risks at work, 2024 was also a major changing point in my personal life. Mavis Leno, his wife, was told she was losing her memory over time. It was forced on the normally quiet couple to share the details found in court records in Los Angeles. The court finally gave Jay legal control over her finances and health care on April 1, 2024. In his file, he made it clear that he wanted to make sure that all decisions about care were made with love and safety in mind. Jay told the press that the people who love each other care for each other when the other person can't. Mavis doesn't always know her husband, according to his lawyer. In her doctor's report, it said that she had severe dementia and needed full-time care. Still, Jay kept taking her to small public events because he knew that having daily habits helped her feel stable. By early summer 2024, Jay had been on Jay Leno's garage again in a new show. He showed off a repaired vintage electric car while wearing a leather jacket and his famous smile. Later that year, when the news brought up Jay's string of crashes again, he said, "I don't think I've had any trouble," he said. "I just fix cars, and sometimes the cars fight back." It was the same wry humor that had made him famous for decades. Doctors told us that he fully recovered. His skin got better, his bones got better quickly, and his spirit stayed strong. Even though things seemed to slow down after those hard years, Jay Leno kept his old pace. But when 2025 started, the story wasn't about sticking with it. The story was about how a man keeps his passion and mission alive after time has passed him by. After a rough few years, Jay Leno turned 75 in 2002. Even after 2 years of healing and emotional change, he still kept up his usual rhythm. His tour began in Florida in February and included stops in Connecticut, New Jersey, Nevada, and California until the end of the year. There were almost 170 acts in all. The places stayed packed. A lot of people came just to see the man who had lived through 3 big accidents. Jay just showed up, with no special effects or dramatic lighting. He walked the same way at the start of every show. The person on stage moved the mic around and said, "I just finished fixing a car, and it didn't blow up." Jay Leno's garage continued to do well online. The 2025 films were mostly about new technologies and electric cars. A test drive video showed the Cadillac Celestiq. Jay smiled and said, "I don't buy them all. I just keep the ones that make me happy." His voice was steady and calm, but it still had his usual wit. The Ford GT Hybrid was shown in another episode, and Jay tried it on the Burbank track. He talked about the handling, throttle response, and engine sound in great depth, without making things up or trying to sell something. A lot of people have clicked on the video, and the same line was said in the comments. "He's not old. He's just going on." Amazingly, Jay's health stayed very good. He still got up early, slept for hours a night, and drank cold water instead of coffee. "Don't drink, smoke, or eat sugar," his personal doctor once told him. "He's the only patient I know who never takes a day off." Jay used that line as a joke on stage. It was thought that he was worth about $450 million